The arrogant alien bastard said humans would be extinct in 10 years. Now, a decade later, humanity is still kicking and ready to shove those mocking words right back down the galaxy's throat. The year is 2345, and the news feeds are plastered with disparaging headlines. Researchers predict humans won't survive another decade. Bolian pundits and so-called experts snicker on the holoscreens, gleefully writing off humanity as a backwater species, doomed by their lack of advanced technology compared to the galaxy's superpowers. On the remote mining colony of Epsilon, the reports reach the eyes and ears of Billy Brown, a 24-year-old Terran toiling away in the cobalt mines. Simmering anger rises in his chest as he slaves under the oppressive thumb of the Bolian overseers, barely scraping by on starvation wages. For humans stuck in the galactic gutter like Billy and his fellow miners, life is a brutal struggle for survival. But Billy refuses to just roll over and accept the bleak fate the alien media is so quick to pronounce for his species. He starts rallying the other miners, stoking the flames of outrage at the Bolians' blatant arrogance and disrespect. Billy stands up on an overturned crate, raising his voice over the clank and hiss of machinery. Those grey-skinned snobs think it's funny that we're dying off. He balls his fists, eyes flashing with defiant anger. I say it's time we show them what humans are really made of. Shouts of agreement rise from the assembled miners. They're all sick of slaving away while smug aliens disparage them. In the days and weeks that follow, Billy puts his words into action. He organizes the miners into strike teams, coordinating strategic work stoppages and covert sabotage of vital equipment. Cobalt production grinds to a halt as the Bolians' mining operation descends into chaos. Reports of shortages ripple through the sector's economy. The disruption attracts the furious attention of Epsilon's consul, an enraged Bolian official named Overseer Jackson. "Impound any human ships trying to leave the colony," Jackson snaps at his subordinates, "and get more security forces down there immediately. I want that meddlesome ape Billy Brown dragged before me in chains." Heavily armed Bolian enforcers descend on the mining colony, a mechanized fist of totalitarian brutality. But Billy and his scrappy rebels melt away into the maze-like depths of the colony's undercity. Despite all their technological superiority, the Bolians struggle to pin them down. Striking from the shadows, the human rebels keep the Bolians off balance. But Billy knows they can't win this fight alone. What started as a localized labor dispute needs to become something greater, a seed crystal that will nucleate a system-wide human resistance. Tapping into humanity's indomitable spirit, Billy begins forging the miners into a true rebellion. Encrypted messages squirt out to other downtrodden human worlds. You're not alone. The time to rise up has finally come. As the flames of discord spread, Overseer Jackson can only watch in mounting frustration while his grip on the fringe colonies grows tenuous. The Bolian hegemony's hold is starting to crack and slip. Then disturbing rumors reach Jackson's grey ears, whispers of some secret human project brewing in the shadows, something that could cataclysmically shift the system's balance of power. Billy has been working with a cabal of renegade human scientists to unlock the awesome power of a legendary alien artifact, a reality-warping relic known as the Ascension Engine. If activated, it could propel the human race into a transcendent new state of being virtually overnight. Jackson feels something utterly alien churning in his guts, fear. He can't let Billy Brown destroy everything the Bolians have built. The Overseer orders the sector's Bolian battle fleet to converge on Epsilon, a full-scale military mobilization to crush the human resistance once and for all. All-out war looms on the horizon, with the very survival of humanity hanging in the balance. Overseer Jackson steels himself for swift and merciless action, determined to wipe humanity's stain from the galaxy and cement Bolian hegemony for generations to come. But Billy Brown and his Epsilon rebels aim to resurrect a different destiny, a future where humanity casts off the shackles of alien oppression and rises into a glorious new era. The newsfeed said they'd be dead in 10 years. A decade later, Billy Brown grins as he prepares to make mankind's last stand, and in the process teach a harsh lesson to those who would dare laugh at humanity's place in the stars. As the spectre of all-out war looms over Epsilon, Billy Brown kicks the resistance into overdrive. Under the cover of darkness, he leads a series of daring raids on Bolian armories scattered across the colony. Strike teams move with surgical precision, neutralizing guards and cracking high-security vaults. They haul out crates of advanced plasma rifles and power armor, vanishing into the shadows before alarms even sound. Armed with cutting-edge Bolian firepower, Billy launches a campaign to liberate human slaves from the hellish cobalt mines. His fighters storm the tunnels, catching overseers off guard. Chains shatter and work camps ignite with the battle cries of freed slaves ready to rise up and fight. The resistance swells with hundreds of new recruits hungry for vengeance. But Billy knows they need more than infantry to wage a winning war. Desperate for an edge, he infiltrates a fortified Bolian research facility. Hiding in ventilation ducts, Billy belly crawls to the secure data cores. Hacking the system, he discovers schematics for a prototype stealth fighter, outfitted with a miniaturized warp drive. His heart pounds. With these ships, the rebels could slip past blockades, reach the lost human colonies, and unite them against the Bolians. For the first time, the dream of a free humanity feels within grasp. Billy taps Hawkins, his best tech wizard, to reverse engineer the stealth fighter plans. Hawkins dives into the work with a mad genius glint in his eye. In hidden underground factories, rebel teams secretly assemble a fleet of the state-of-the-art ships. The air hums with electric anticipation as Billy trains select rebel pilots to fly the nimble vessels designed to run circles around Bolian frigates. Overseer Jackson, meanwhile, escalates his crackdown with chilling ferocity. Legions of autonomous hunter-killer drones swarm from Bolian bases, scouring the colony for human resistors. Jackson makes a cruel example of captured rebels, public executions in the colonial squares, their defiant last words cut off by plasma fire. The grisly spectacles are meant to terrorize humans into submission. But Jackson's brutality only fans the flames of rebellion. Billy's assassins retaliate with a campaign of targeted killing, eliminating top-ranking Bolian officials with long-range plasma shots and close-quarters garrote work. The Bolian leadership turns paranoid, seeing human treachery in every shadow. A spark of hope reaches the embattled Epsilon rebels. A coded transmission from Zargon, enigmatic leader of a powerful resistance movement on the prison world of Keras. Billy reads the message with hungry eyes, seeing the potential for a game-changing alliance. He gathers his stealth fleet and most veteran fighters. They'll run the Bolian blockade and rendezvous with Zargon or die trying. Billy powers up his personal stealth craft, feeling the fusion engines thrum. "Haul ass and keep up, battle brothers," he comms to his squadron. "Next stop, Keras." The sleek ships slice into the void like daggers, the Orion Nebula, a swirling cosmic backdrop. But the journey is fraught with danger. Hunter-killer drones and Bolian battle patrols sweep the stars, forcing the human fighters to push their stealth systems to the breaking point. Through harrowing twists and turns, Billy's squadron finally reaches Keras's orbit. On the planet's barren surface, they rendezvous with Zargon and his Keras resistance. The two rebel leaders, both battle-hardened and hungry for victory, size each other up. Then, slowly, Zargon extends his hand. Billy clasps it firmly, sealing a blood pact to join forces against the Bolians. The meeting of the resistance movements feels like a tectonic shift in the galaxy's balance. In the war councils that follow, Billy learns a staggering truth from Zargon. Whispers of an ancient alien artifact, hidden somewhere in the luminous depths of the Orion Nebula, left by a mythic precursor race. The legends call it the Ascension Engine, said to possess the power to elevate any species that wields it to godlike mastery of energy and matter, to reshape the very workings of the universe. Billy feels the weight of destiny on his shoulders. If humanity sees the Ascension Engine, it could mean an end to the yoke of alien oppression forever. The Bolians would become less than insects before mankind's transcendence. Zargon unfurls a tattered star map, recovered from a dead alien's horde and never fully deciphered. He gifts it to Billy to aid in the search for the artifact. Billy traces the cryptic coordinates with a calloused finger, vowing to pursue this Hail Mary quest for human salvation. Billy and Zargan work feverishly to prepare for the expedition into the Orion Nebula's cosmic wild. Billy tasks his tech specialist Hawkins with outfitting the stealth fleet for long-range recon. He taps the unshakable Davis to handpick rebel Marines for ship-to-ship combat and potential landing parties. And to Riggs, his infamously ruthless enforcer, Billy gives a cold directive: hunt down and eliminate any Bolian forces that might be searching for the Ascension engine. On the eve of the mission, Billy's thoughts turn to what's at stake: the survival of the human species, vengeance against alien tyrants, the dream of a future where mankind commands its own destiny among the stars, the hopes of every beaten-down slave in the Epsilon mines. It all rests on this starshot, finding the Ascension engine before the Bolians can. Little does Billy know that light years away, Overseer Jackson has already gotten wind of the Resistance's plans from an interrogated rebel prisoner. Jackson's eyes widen with avarice and naked ambition. The Ascension engine. The mythic artifact is real, and it could be the ultimate tool to crush the human infection once and for all, making the Bolians invincibly supreme over the galaxy. Jackson conscripts the renowned Bolian archaeologist Dr. Zarlan to his campaign, charging the academic with deciphering the same ancient star maps Billy now possesses. Find the Ascension engine's coordinates, and I'll give you the full resources of the Bolian hegemony to secure it, Jackson vows. Dr. Zarlan attacks the puzzle with religious fervor, poring over the eldritch runes and stellar coordinates. Then a breakthrough. He discerns the location of a strange cosmic anomaly within the Orion Nebula, the potential key to the artifact's hiding place. Ready my battle group for warp immediately, Jackson snaps to his Bolian lieutenants. We end this rebellion at the source. The Overseer grins, already seeing visions of himself wielding the phenomenal cosmic power of the Ascension engine, bending the very fabric of space and time to erase mankind's blight on a galactic scale. In the glittering swirl of the Orion Nebula, the stage is set for a final reckoning. Billy Brown's stealth fleet streaks toward the mysterious stellar anomaly, Hawkins and Davis at his side. Hot on their heels, Overseer Jackson's battle-hungry frigates close in, Dr. Zarlan stalking the command deck. Two species, locked in existential struggle, two leaders, hell-bent on the other's destruction. Two visions of the future, fundamentally opposed. At stake, mastery over the cosmos. The time for secret resistance, the time for running and hiding, has ended. In the ethereal void of the nebula, humanity will either rise ascendant, seizing its birthright among the stars, or fall forever, scourged from the galaxy by the Bolians' wrath. Billy grits his teeth, hands tightening on the command console. I choose to rise, he growls. Billy's fleet dropped out of warp into the heart of the Orion Nebula. Swirling clouds of cosmic gas and dust enveloped the rebel squadron, painting their view screens with a kaleidoscope of colors. Ancient structures drifted through the void. Massive ring worlds and crumbling space stations, relics of a long-dead alien civilization. Holy shit, Hawkins breathed, his eyes wide as he took in the otherworldly vista. His fingers danced across the sensor console. I'm picking up a faint energy signature. It's coming from that derelict over there. Billy leaned forward, squinting at the colossal alien vessel looming before them. Its hull was pitted and scarred from eons adrift in the nebula, but there was no mistaking the awe-inspiring design. This was clearly the work of an advanced species, far beyond humanity's current capabilities. That's gotta be it, Billy said. The Ascension engine, take us in closer, nice and easy. As the rebel fleet approached the derelict, alarms suddenly blared. A massive Bolian warship shimmered into view, its stealth field dropping as it decloaked. Dozens of attack drones swarmed around it like angry hornets. Fuck, Billy swore. It's Jackson! The bastard beat us here! Before Billy could bark out orders, space lit up with weapons fire. Bolian energy beams lanced out, catching several rebel ships unprepared. Explosions bloomed silently in the void as human vessels were torn apart. Billy's fighter jinked and rolled, barely avoiding the onslaught, but a stray shot clipped his wing, sending the ship into an uncontrolled spin. Warnings flashed red as systems failed. "Damn it!" Billy punched the eject button. His cockpit blew away and he was hurled into space just as his fighter exploded behind him. Activating his suit thrusters, Billy jetted through the chaotic battlefield. Debris and bodies tumbled past as he made for the alien derelict. He had to reach the engine before Jackson. Billy crashed through an airlock, the artificial gravity kicking in as he hit the deck. Drawing his blaster, he sprinted deeper into the ship. He encountered Bolian boarding parties and mowed them down with brutal efficiency, relying on the combat enhancements he'd received in the Epsilon mines. After fighting through twisting corridors, Billy finally reached what had to be the ship's central chamber. A pulsing sphere of otherworldly energy dominated the room, the Ascension engine. And there was Jackson, gripping an ornate key clearly meant to activate the artifact. The Bolian overseer's lips curled in a sneer. "Ah, Billy Brown, so nice of you to join us," Jackson said. "You're just in time to witness the rebirth of the Bolian race as immortal gods, and of course, the long-overdue extinction of humanity." The two leaders clashed in furious combat. Billy's enhancements gave him an edge in speed and reflexes, but Jackson's naturally superior Bolian physiology made him a formidable opponent. They traded bone-crunching blows, neither able to gain the upper hand. Outside, Billy knew his fleet was being decimated. He had to end this quickly. But as they grappled near the engine, Jackson managed to get Billy in a chokehold. The rebel leader's vision began to dim as Jackson squeezed. "It's over, human," Jackson hissed. "Your pitiful resistance dies here." Just as Billy felt consciousness slipping away, a blast of energy filled the chamber. Jackson released him, both leaders staggering back in shock. Ethereal beings of pure light materialized around them. Their voices echoed in Billy's mind. "We are the Ascended Ones. We have returned to pass judgment." The alien entities regarded Jackson with disgust. "Your kind is unworthy. You subjugate and destroy. The engine's power is not for you." Then they turned to Billy. "But we have watched you, Billy Brown, your courage, your sacrifice, your refusal to give up hope, even in the darkest hour. You have proven yourself worthy." With a mere thought, Billy incapacitated Jackson. The overseer collapsed, body spasming as his neural pathways were scrambled. Another telepathic command, and the space battle outside came to an abrupt halt. Billy crushed the Bolian warships like tin cans, scattering the survivors. But destruction wasn't enough. Billy reached out with his new powers, terraforming the nebula itself. Barren rocks transformed into lush, habitable worlds, and humanity evolved alongside their new home, ascending to a higher state of consciousness. The Ascended Ones nodded in approval. "You will be this sector's guardian, Billy Brown. Use this power wisely." Then they vanished, returning to the cosmic depths. In the aftermath, the human colonies united under Billy's leadership. A new golden age dawned, but Billy remained vigilant. He knew the Bolians would return one day, seeking vengeance, and even a living god could fall. The true test was yet to come. Billy Brown stood atop the command spire of Anvil, the massive shipforge that stretched across the void. His eyes, now glowing with cosmic energy, surveyed the bustling activity below. Automated construction drones swarmed like insects, piecing together the hulls of sleek warships imbued with ascended tech. "How many can we produce in a day?" Billy asked his chief engineer. Billy nodded, extending his hand. Raw energy crackled between his fingers, coalescing into the form of a cruiser. With a thought, he willed it into existence, the massive vessel materializing in the space dock. "Keep pushing production," Billy ordered. "The Bolians won't stay licking their wounds forever." In the training halls of New Eden, Billy paced before rows of recruits. These weren't ordinary soldiers, but humans tapped for their latent psionic potential. "Focus," Billy commanded. Feel the energy flowing through you, shape it, control it. The recruits strained, sweat beading on their brows. A few managed to levitate small objects. One particularly gifted trainee, Zeke, caught Billy's eye. The former miner's face was a mask of concentration as he lifted a chunk of Bolian battle armor, crushing it like a tin can with his mind alone. Billy grinned. Well done, Zeke. You'll lead the first squad of PSI Knights. Alarms blared across the colony network. Billy's war room lit up with tactical displays as reports flooded in. A vast Bolian armada had been detected at the edge of the system, led by the newly appointed Overseer Thrax. "Sir," a comms officer called out, "we're picking up energy signatures consistent with dronoid tech. It looks like they've jury-rigged some of the old forbidden weapons." Billy's face hardened. "Prepare for battle. All ships to defensive positions around Horizon. This ends today." The void above Horizon erupted in chaos as the two fleets collided. Bolian fighters swarmed like angry hornets, their energy weapons carving paths through the human defenders. But humanity's ascended shielding held firm against the assault. Billy soared through the melee, leading squadrons of psionic knights. Their minds blazed with psychic fire as they tore through enemy ships. Zeke proved especially lethal, single-handedly overwhelming a Bolian cruiser's shields and ripping the vessel apart with a gesture. On Horizon's surface, the battle raged through city streets. Human telepaths coordinated with ground forces, outmaneuvering the lumbering Bolian infantry. But the aliens had a cruel surprise in store. Jackson, his face twisted with hate, fired salvos of dronoid missiles that shredded entire hab-blocks. Billy's attention snapped to Thrax's flagship. Channeling his godlike power, he unleashed gravitic lances that sheared enemy vessels in two. But Thrax was ready. The Bolian Overseer activated the dronoid machine, unleashing a nanoswarm that began consuming everything in its path. The silvery cloud enveloped Horizon, devouring friend and foe alike. Jackson's eyes widened in horror as he realized the tech was beyond his control. The galactic core colonies would be next if the swarm wasn't stopped. Billy knew what had to be done. With grim willpower, he poured every ounce of his ascended might into Anvil. The ship forge hummed with unimaginable energy as Billy triggered a hyperblast that would obliterate the dronoid plague, and himself along with it. A blinding flash consumed Horizon. When it faded, the planet and the nanoswarm were gone. So too was Billy's physical form, but his consciousness endured, scattered across dimensions. The battered Bolian fleet retreated in disarray. On a surviving colony world, Zeke gathered the remaining psionic warriors. They knelt before a shimmering apparition of their leader. "Billy lives on," Zeke intoned, "and we will be ready when he returns to lead us against the Bolians once more." Billy Brown's consciousness drifted through the cosmic void, formless and ethereal. The sacrifice of his physical form to stop the dronoid swarm had scattered his essence across dimensions. Yet even in this state, his unbreakable spirit persisted. He found himself drawn to an otherworldly plane, the ancient Nexus. Here, swirling energies coalesced into abstract shapes and pulsing light. Beings of pure thought communicated without words, their wisdom transcending mortal understanding. An entity approached, its form a shimmering tapestry of starlight. "Welcome, Billy Brown," it intoned directly into his mind. "We are the sages of the Nexus. Your actions have proven you worthy of ascension." The sages surrounded Billy, their combined power enveloping him. Raw energy flowed into his disembodied consciousness, rebuilding him atom by atom. His new form took shape, towering, radiating with cosmic might. Billy flexed his fingers, marveling at the power coursing through him. He reached out with his mind, instantly grasping the fundamental forces of the universe, space and time bent to his will. Yet as godlike as he had become, Billy felt his humanity burn brighter than ever. The faces of those he'd fought for flashed through his mind. Hawkins, Davis, Zeke. He would not abandon them. His cosmic awareness expanded, piercing the veil between dimensions. Billy's gaze fell upon the shattered remnants of the Bolian armada. They were regrouping, rallying behind a new leader. Krug stood on the bridge of his flagship, his cybernetic implants glowing an eerie blue. "The humans think they've won," he snarled to his assembled officers. "We'll show them the true meaning of suffering." Billy watched as Krug's scientists toiled in secret labs, fusing alien tech with Bolian flesh. Monstrous cyborg warriors emerged from vats of nutrient fluid, their bodies a grotesque melding of metal and muscle. Across the galaxy, human colonies burned. Krug's million-strong armada descended on world after world, leaving only ash and ruin in their wake. The screams of the dying echoed across space. Billy's fists clenched. He would not let this stand. Channeling his newfound powers, he conjured an army of light. Armored avatars blazed into existence, each an extension of Billy's will. "Defend humanity!" Billy's voice boomed across the cosmos as he teleported his celestial legions to besieged worlds. On Kronos, Zeke led a squad of psionic warriors against Krug's cyborg shock troops. Energy blasts lit up the night sky as the two forces clashed. Zeke's mind lashed out, toppling enemy walkers with sheer psychic force. But the Bolian cyborgs pressed on, shrugging off attacks that would have vaporized normal soldiers. For every one that fell, two more took its place. The human defenders found themselves pushed back, street by street. Billy's cosmic senses took in 100 battlefields at once. He saw valiant last stands and desperate retreats. Entire worlds hung in the balance. As Krug's fleet closed in on humanity's last strongholds, Billy knew drastic action was needed. He turned his gaze to the Ark orbital, a planet-sized construct of unimaginable power. Billy's essence merged with the Ark's systems. Energy levels spiked as the ascension beam powered up, capable of scouring entire star systems clean of life. Just as the beam prepared to fire, Billy seized control. With supreme effort, he redirected its awesome might. A lance of pure cosmic energy lashed out across space, engulfing Krug's assembled armada. 1,000,000 Bolian ships vanished in an instant, reduced to their component atoms. The blast rippled outward, shattering moons and scarring planets. On Bolarus, civilians watched in horror as burning wreckage rained from the sky. The unstoppable Bolian war machine had been broken in a single stroke. Billy's voice echoed across every communication channel in the galaxy. "People of Bolarus, your reign of terror ends today. Lay down your arms and join humanity on the path of ascension, or flee to the outer darkness, never to return." As the age of human ascendancy dawned, Billy's cosmic awareness detected something stirring in the void between galaxies. Ancient and terrible minds turned their attention toward the Milky Way. The true test was yet to come. Billy Brown stood at the heart of the Godforge cluster, raw cosmic energy crackling around him. The swirling vortex of space-time anomalies pulsed with power beyond comprehension. Billy's ascended form radiated with an otherworldly glow as he surveyed the chaotic battlefield. Zarroki horrors swarmed from every direction, their twisted forms defying description. Billy's forces fought valiantly, psionic blasts and energy weapons tearing through the alien ranks. But for every Zarroki that fell, two more took its place. Billy raised his hand, ready to unleash the full might of the Godforge. The power to annihilate the Zarroki threat once and for all surged through him. But doubt gnawed at his mind. The consequences of such an act could shatter reality itself. A flash of light heralded Zeke's arrival. The battle-worn psionic warrior materialized beside Billy, accompanied by a shimmering figure of pure energy, the Oracle. "Billy, wait!" Zeke's voice cut through the din of battle. "The Oracle has shown me the truth. We can't destroy the Zarroki. It'll only continue the cycle of destruction." The Oracle's melodious voice resonated directly in their minds. "The Zarroki were once like you, ascended beings who lost their way. To obliterate them would be to repeat their mistakes." Billy's brow furrowed as he processed this revelation. "Then what's the alternative? We can't let them consume the galaxy." "Transformation," the Oracle replied. "Use the Godforge not to destroy but to evolve. Guide the Zarroki back to their true purpose as cosmic guardians. Billy nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. He turned his focus to the Godforge's swirling energies, channeling its power with surgical precision. A wave of prismatic light erupted from the Godforge, washing over the battlefield. Where it touched the Zaroki, their corrupted forms began to change, writhing tentacles smoothed into graceful limbs, gnashing maws closed, replaced by serene visages. The transformed Zaroki halted their assault, confusion evident in their newly formed eyes. Billy's voice boomed across the battlefield, infused with the authority of the Godforge. Zaroki, remember who you once were, guardians of the cosmos, not its devourers. Join us in preserving life, not destroying it. As the wave of transformation spread outward, engulfing more of the Zaroki fleet, Billy turned to Zeke and the Oracle. This is just the beginning. We have much work ahead to guide them back to their true path. Zeke nodded, his eyes gleaming with renewed purpose, and we'll need to be vigilant to ensure we don't lose our own way as they did. The Oracle's form pulsed with approval. You have taken the first step on a greater journey. The universe watches, waiting to see what humanity's ascension will bring. As the last of the Zaroki vessels began their metamorphosis, Billy gazed out at the stars. The true test of humanity's ascension had only just begun. Billy's consciousness expanded, encompassing the vast expanse of the Godforge cluster. Energy crackled through his being as he tapped into the raw power of creation itself. With a thought, he bent the fabric of space-time, creating a localized dimensional nexus that pulled the rampaging Zaroki armadas into its maw. Zeke stood at the forefront of the human defenses, his psionic warriors arrayed behind him. The void before them twisted and warped as nightmarish Zaroki abominations poured through. A living star-killer, its form a writhing mass of stellar plasma, lashed out with tendrils of fire. Zeke raised a psionic barrier, the flames splashing harmlessly against it. "Hold the line," Zeke shouted, his voice carrying across the battlefield. "We just need to buy Billy time." An entropy drone, its body a swirling vortex of nothingness, phased through their defenses. Where it passed, matter simply ceased to exist. A psionic knight screamed as half his body vanished into oblivion. Zeke gritted his teeth and focused his will, projecting a lance of pure thought that pierced the drone's non-existent heart. Within the Nexus, Billy delved deep into the Zaroki collective consciousness. Layer upon layer of corrupted thoughts and memories peeled away beneath his touch. At the core, he found something unexpected, a spark of purity, long buried beneath eons of rage and destruction. Billy poured stabilizing ascendant resonances into that spark, coaxing it to life. The Zaroki psyche trembled, then began to shift. Perceptions altered, evolutionary paths realigned. Reality itself convulsed around them. Stars winked out of existence only to be reborn moments later. Yawning wormholes swallowed entire fleets, friend and foe alike. The Oracle's voice cut through the chaos, a note of warning in its tone. Before Billy could respond, a familiar presence intruded on his consciousness. Jackson, his former enemy, stood before him in the psychic plane. A cadre of twisted Bolians flanked him, their eyes glowing with unholy hunger. "Did you think I wouldn't see this coming, Billy?" Jackson sneered. "You've done all the hard work for us, now we'll take that power for ourselves." Jackson's mind slammed into Billy's defenses, seeking to wrest control of the attunement. Billy staggered under the assault, feeling his essence begin to fray at the edges. The strain of containing the cosmic maelstrom while fending off Jackson's attack threatened to tear him apart. Outside the Nexus, Zeke sensed the shift in the battle. Bolian ships decloaked, their weapons trained on the human defenders. He spun to face this new threat, only to find himself staring down the barrel of a dronoid cannon. "Surrender now," a Bolian commander growled, "and we might let you live long enough to see your precious Billy fall." Zeke's response was a psionic blast that shattered the Bolian's mind. As the two forces clashed, the very fabric of space-time buckled and heaved around them. Within the Nexus, Billy rallied his last reserves of strength. With a titanic effort of will, he shoved Jackson and his followers out of the attunement, casting them back into normal space-time. Their howls of rage echoed across dimensions as they vanished. Focusing once more on the Zaroki, Billy completed the ritual. The alien consciousness surged with newfound clarity and purpose. Where once there had been only destruction, now there was harmony. The ascended path opened before them, a road to redemption and growth. But not all of the Zaroki embraced this change. Fragments of the old horde lashed out in blind fury, refusing to evolve. Billy gathered these remnants and, with a gesture, scattered them to the furthest reaches of the cosmos. As the stabilized nexus began to fold back into normal spacetime, Billy turned his attention to Zeke and the embattled human forces. It was time to go home, but he knew their greatest challenges still lay ahead. The frozen moon loomed before Jackson's fleet, its icy surface reflecting the cold light of distant stars. Bolian warships descended through the thin atmosphere, their hulls glowing red-hot from the friction. Plasma cannons fired in unison, carving a molten crater into the moon's crust. Jackson stood on the bridge of his flagship, cybernetic implants pulsing with dark energy. "Faster!" he hissed to his crew. "The secrets of the Old Ones await us." As the ice gave way, a massive structure emerged from the depths. Ancient alloys, untouched for millennia, gleamed in the harsh light of the Bolian ships. Jackson's eyes widened at the sight of the forged citadel, its impossible geometry defying human comprehension. Inside the cavernous halls of the Old One facility, Jackson's followers swarmed over alien machinery. Screens flickered to life, displaying schematics that made even the most hardened Bolian scientists recoil in horror. "The God-smiter cannons," Jackson whispered, running his hand over a console. "With these we'll reduce Billy's empire to ash." Light years away on the edge of human space, a probe's sensors pinged. Data streamed back to Zeke's command center, triggering alarms throughout the facility. Zeke's face hardened as he reviewed the intel. "Jackson," he growled, "assemble the strike team. We end this now." Zeke's ships dropped out of hyperspace above the Forge Moon, immediately met by a hail of fire from Bolian defense platforms. The ascended warriors plunged through the maelstrom, their enhanced reflexes guiding them past explosions and debris. On the surface, Jackson's cyborg legions poured from access hatches. Twisted amalgamations of flesh and machine, they fired salvos of dark energy blasts at the approaching human forces. Zeke's troops returned fire, their weapons cutting swathes through the enemy ranks. Zeke himself led the charge, psionic energy crackling around his form. He tore through Bolian defenses, his mind reaching out to crush opposition before it could even fire a shot. But for every cyborg that fell, 2 more took its place. Deep within the forged citadel, Jackson worked feverishly at the controls of the first completed God-smiter cannon. Ancient energies surged through conduits, threatening to overload the entire system. "Just a little more," Jackson muttered, his cyborg enhancements interfacing directly with the Old One tech. "One shot is all I need to bring Billy to his knees." The battle raged above, but Jackson paid it no mind. His focus was singular, his madness driving him to ignore all else. As Zeke's forces breached the final defenses, Jackson prepared to fire. Zeke burst into the resonator chamber, his eyes widening at the sight of the monstrous cannon. Jackson whirled to face him, more machine now than Bolian. "Too late, Zeke," Jackson cackled. "Watch as I wipe your precious ascended from existence." Energy crackled between them as their minds clashed. Zeke's psionic assault met Jackson's technopathic defenses, neither giving ground. The very fabric of reality seemed to warp around them as they fought. The Forge Moon shuddered, systems overloading from the titanic struggle. Zeke saw his chance. Gathering every ounce of his power, he unleashed a harmonic shockwave that rippled through the chamber. The God-smiter's matrix destabilized, its energies turning inward. Jackson screamed in rage and disbelief as his weapon of ultimate destruction began to tear itself apart. A blinding flash engulfed the Forge Moon. When it faded, only debris remained, a new asteroid field where a celestial body once stood. But among the fragments, a single escape pod shot into the depths of space, carrying what remained of Jackson's broken form. On the nearest ascended outpost, Billy received Zeke's report. His face grim, he issued new orders to fortify the borders of human space. The threat had been averted, but at what cost? And what new horrors might Jackson uncover in his relentless quest for vengeance? In the depths of uncharted space, Jackson's consciousness drifted. His essence, barely clinging to existence, floated through a cosmic graveyard of dark matter and violent energy storms. The void seemed to pulse with an ancient, malevolent hunger. Suddenly Jackson felt a pull. His ethereal form twisted and stretched, as an immense gravitational force dragged him toward its source. Before him loomed a cosmic horror beyond comprehension, the Godworm. Jackson's mind reeled at the sight, yet he felt a surge of dark purpose. This was power incarnate, the ultimate expression of cosmic dominance. With the last remnants of his will, he called out to the ancient entity. "Great Godworm, I offer myself in service to your cause." The Leviathan's attention focused on the tiny mote of consciousness before it. Jackson felt the weight of eons press down upon him as the Godworm's alien intellect probed his very being. In an instant Jackson was engulfed. His essence merged with the dark mass of the cosmic horror. Pain beyond imagining tore through him as his very atomic structure was rewritten. He felt himself stretched across dimensions, remade according to laws of physics that defied sanity. When the process ended, Jackson emerged, transformed. His new form crackled with void energies, a corporeal avatar of entropy itself. Knowledge of forbidden sciences flooded his mind, granting him mastery over the fundamental forces of creation. Jackson flexed his newfound power, warping the space around him into twisting spires of darkness. Antimatter coalesced at his command, forming towering obelisks that pulsed with malign purpose. Within these structures he began his greatest work, the engineering of the apotheosis plague. As Jackson labored, the Godworm continued its relentless feast. Entire galaxies shuddered in its wake, cosmic anomalies blooming in its passing. On the fringes of human space, these cataclysmic events did not go unnoticed. In a hardened bunker deep within an asteroid field, Zeke pored over streams of data. His eyes widened as he processed the readings from the long-range sensors. "This can't be right," he muttered, fingers flying over holographic displays. "Computer, recheck gravitational anomalies in Sector 17X. The AI's voice rang out, cool and clinical. "Confirmed. Multiple space-time distortions detected. Stellar density in affected regions reduced by 89% over the past solar cycle." Zeke's blood ran cold. Whatever was causing this went beyond any known threat, even the Zaroki at the height of their power. He keyed his comm unit, his voice tight with urgency. "This is Admiral Zeke to all Radiant Guard units. Priority Alpha alert. Prepare for immediate deployment to the galactic fringe. We face an unknown threat of unprecedented scale." As klaxons blared throughout the base, Zeke steeled himself for the coming battle. They were about to venture into the cosmic unknown, facing horrors that defied comprehension. The fate of all reality hung in the balance. The void churned with unnatural energies as Zeke's fleet pushed deeper into the blighted periphery. Reality itself seemed to unravel around them, space folding in on itself in ways that defied comprehension. Zeke stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes fixed on the swirling chaos beyond. "Shields at 63% and falling, Admiral," reported his second-in-command. "The space-time distortions are intensifying." Zeke nodded grimly. "Press on, we can't turn back now." The fleet pressed forward, their hulls groaning under the strain of warped physics. Suddenly alarms blared across the command deck. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a colossal obelisk floating in the void. Its surface pulsed with sickly energy, tendrils of corruption spreading outward into the surrounding space. "By the Ascended," Zeke breathed, "a harbinger monolith." "Acolyte cultist," Zeke barked. "All ships open fire." The Radiant Guard vessels unleashed salvos of energy, but the cultists moved with impossible speed. They wielded weapons that seemed to bend light itself, lances of pure entropy that reduced matter to nothingness. Zeke watched in horror as one of his cruisers disintegrated, its crew screaming silently as they were unmade. He reached out with his mind, channeling psionic energy to shield his forces. Suddenly a presence slammed into his consciousness. Zeke staggered, his vision swimming. When it cleared, he found himself face to face with a being of pure cosmic horror. Jackson, or what was left of him, towered over Zeke. His form shifted constantly, defying the laws of physics. With a gesture, he warped the space around them into a maze of fractals. "Welcome, old friend," Jackson's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "Have you come to witness the birth of a new universe?" Zeke lashed out with his psionic powers, but Jackson simply laughed. The very fabric of reality bent to his will, trapping Zeke in a labyrinth of his own mind. As he fought to break free, Zeke knew with cold certainty that this was beyond anything they had faced before. The Godworm's influence permeated everything, a cosmic cancer eating away at existence itself. With supreme effort, Zeke broke Jackson's hold. He sent out a desperate call to the entire Radiant Guard armada. "All ships, converge on my position. We make for the heart of this madness." The fleet regrouped, following a trail of dead stars and broken worlds. Each light year brought fresh horrors, entire galaxies reduced to formless energy, feeding the insatiable hunger of something ancient and terrible. At last, they reached the center of the polluted sector. There, suspended in the void, was a sight that defied description. The Godworm, a being of such cosmic scale that Zeke's mind reeled trying to comprehend it. Before Zeke could react, the entity struck. Swarms of microscopic entropy mites swarmed his ships, eating through even the most advanced ascendant armor. Gravitic waves twisted time itself, aging some crew members centuries in seconds, while others reverted to infancy. Zeke watched in mounting despair as his fleet was torn apart. Burning void mouths opened in space, spawning pocket universes of pure annihilation that swallowed entire battle groups. In that moment of desperation, Zeke knew what had to be done. He reached out to the greatest scions among the Radiant Guard, their minds linking across vast distances. "Channel everything into me," he commanded. "Every ounce of power you possess." Energy flooded into Zeke, more than any mortal form could contain. He felt his body begin to unravel, but he held on. With a final, titanic effort, he released it all in a single, reality-shattering blast. The universe went white. When Zeke's vision cleared, he found himself adrift in a sea of formless energy. The Godworm's death throes echoed across dimensions, its essence scattering to the far corners of existence. Zeke drifted, barely clinging to consciousness. His fleet was gone, sacrificed to save all of creation. Yet even in this darkest hour, he felt a glimmer of hope. The threat was ended, and humanity's path to ascension secured. With the last of his strength, Zeke turned his thoughts toward home, toward Billy and the ascendant domains they had fought so hard to protect. It was time to... You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.